Hi guys. One of my viewers suggested that I make a video on all the books I have and all the books I'm currently reading or I'm in the middle of. So I immediately jumped at the opportunity, and I think maybe all of us have this weakness that we would really love the opportunity to show off our books whenever guests come or our close friends come. I really like to do it as well, but not with everyone. But yeah, I would like to show all my viewers all my books. And some new shelves and some new books have arrived recently. That's why I waited for a bit to make this video. And since I don't have anyone to hold this camera for me, I'm going to do it from this one-sided camera only, and you won't be able to see my face. So first, a short tour of my room. This is my room, and this is my computer where I make music. This is my setup. This is the mic I speak from every day. This is my headphones. Anyway. So first, the ones closest to me. These two are two noble Qurans by Mufti Muhammad Taqi Usmani of the Deoband sect. These two are arguably said by many to be the greatest two fictions ever written by mankind. Fyodor Dostoevsky's The Brothers Karamazov and Crime and Punishment. Some say The Brothers Karamazov is the greatest book ever written, and some say Crime and Punishment is the greatest book ever written. I'm already in about 78 pages in, and this one I'm reading with my girlfriend over phone. We are in the third or fourth chapter, and here is an old book of mine. This is a complete guide to film scoring, background music composing for films. This is a second edition, and this was basically a syllabus book of the Berklee College of Music for their film scoring syllabus department, which I looked up on internet that what books do they teach in their syllabus, and I bought it from Amazon on my own. This is from long time back, from 2015, and this is a complete Sherlock Holmes novel collection which I read when I was in school. These four are the legendary books by Sanjeev Sanyal, which kind of got me inspired to feel proud of my country, of my culture, heritage, past, religion, etc. Everything was started by this particular book, Land of Seven Rivers. If you haven't read it, you absolutely need to read this book. And if you don't know anything about Indian history, or you don't know why you should be proud of your country, everything, etc., all those was started by this damn book. And then a little bit of elaboration on our past in this book called Ocean of Churn, which talked about our maritime history basically. This is a fun fictional book, nice collection of short stories where Sanjeev Sanyal couldn't name all the people that he hates in his life and in Delhi, basically all the commies and intellectuals. He made them fictional characters and then made huge fun of them, all those people. For that you need to read this book. And this is his first book from 2008, The Indian Renaissance. It is basically a criticism of the Nehru government policies and the socialist past of our country up until 1991. This is what this book is about. It's a very short book, nice to read. These are some nice dolls and idols. Okay, this is The Life Divine by Sri Aurobindo. This my father got for his retirement, as a retirement gift. I have read about 120 pages of this book. It is probably the toughest book I've read in terms of the way the English is written here. But more annoyingly, this book, you see, it seems like a 600-700 page book, right? But it's actually 1100 pages long, which means not only is it insanely tough to read, that English, but I think people in the Aurobindo Institute know that no one, I think 99% of Indians can't really read this book on their own or understand it or grasp it. So they basically know that they sell this book as an ornament to be kept in the bookshelf at home, to show people off that, see, we have a book by Aurobindo at our home. So what they have done is made the pages so thin that you basically can see 5-6 pages down the line if the light falls on the book in a wrong way. So this book is kind of tough to read. You have to hold it properly in the light. These are some nice art sculpting from the Krishnanagar area of Bengal. This is again a legendary book by Deepak, probably the most important book in the last 10 years or in the next 10 years, which I have read about 3 times. This is from Tucker Carlson, a collection of all his essays in the 30 years that he has worked in the American media. This is a book from 40s, an article from the 40s written in the form of released as a form of a book by Hitesh Ranjan Sanyal on the history of temples of Bengal. Okay, it didn't release until published until 1 or 2 years back, but it was written in the 40s. It was just kept as a manuscript in his home. Hitesh Ranjan Sanyal. This is a nice book. It's a collection of essays, papers and articles collected by Shapon Kumar Thakur. It's about the history of Ramayana and Ram Puja and Ramayan culture in Bengal. So all those who say Ram is an outsider god, etc., need this book to be thrown at their faces. This is a nice interstellar poster I got from Amazon when it released, so that's 10 years back. This is my incredible first electric guitar, which was gifted to me by my parents when I was in class 11. This is the shape, also played by one of my all-time favorite bands and the greatest metal band of all time, Metallica. Their vocalist plays exactly this shape guitar, and that's also made by this company only. He plays an ESP guitar. This is a smaller, cheaper branch of ESP called LTD. But it was a brilliant guitar. I don't play it anymore. As you can see, the strings are not maintained, etc. This is a nice massage gun for when you overwork out and can't pay for a masseuse. This is my current electric guitar. This is a nice guitar I bought when I got a job in 2014. I bought it in 2015 or 16, I think. But this is installed with this pickup. For those who know a bit of guitar, this is called a pickup. And this pickup is a John Petrucci signature pickup. John Petrucci is the guitarist for the legendary band Dream Theater. It's his pickup that he also uses, and it's kind of designed in collaboration with him according to his tastes. I have it here in this bridge, and the neck is a stock pickup. Now more books. These two books have recently arrived. All these books have recently arrived. I haven't started it. The legendary book by Leo Tolstoy, War and Peace. And I read multiple books at one time so that I don't get bored with any particular topic. So this helps me. Fiction, Leo Tolstoy, War and Peace, legendary book. This is also considered by some to be the greatest story ever written. These three are basically the top three works of Fyodor Dostoevsky. This is The Idiot, and those two are Brothers Karamazov and Crime and Punishment. I haven't started at all these two. This is a fun topic for me. I love reading about totalitarianism and what things lead to these things: totalitarianism, authoritarianism, Nazism, communism, fascism, etc. This is by a woman called Hannah Arendt. It was written in 1951, so she still had fresh memories of the experience. She was a Jew who was oppressed and tortured herself in Nazi Germany, but she has criticized both Soviet Russia and Nazi Germany. So therefore I bought this book. Although it's dedicated to her second husband, who was a Marxist. She first had a relationship, or I think got married with a person who was her professor, but he became a Nazi himself. her husband, who was her professor. So that was fun. This is Sir Roger Scruton, whose quotes I've been sharing from my YouTube community page. That was a different book. This is a recent book gifted to me by my girlfriend on our 1-year anniversary. This is called Roger Scruton's Understanding Music. This is a fantastic book. I've already read half of the introduction, because even the introduction is pretty big. So this is an insane book, and he has a great knowledge of music of all kinds, and even Indian music he has talked a little bit about in this book. This is of course Vivek Ramaswamy's first book, which I have read up until I think I just started the first chapter. I have ended the introduction. I've started the first chapter. This is Desai Deepak's India Bharat Pakistan, which I think I've read 2/3 of it. Only a little bit portion is left. But the language and the topic is so grueling and frustrating, so I have not been able to finish it yet. This is another legendary book by Anuj Dhar's Conundrum, of course, on which the Bengali film Gumnami was made. This book I bought on my way to a band competition in Symbiosis, Pune, when I was in the first year in college, or I think, I was in first year. That's when I bought it on train, but I did not really I had lost my reading habit by then, so I had bought this book just because Orhan Pamuk had won the Nobel Prize in Literature recently. So I thought, wow, this is a nice bootleg pirated version of a book I'm getting on the train. It's bad print quality, but it costs just about $100 or $60, I think. So I bought it. I thought I'll read it sometime, but now I've refound it from my one of my showcases, and I'll read it someday. This is an insane book that I just received today, and I will post some pictures of some pages of it. This is written by a person called Rick Rubin. Okay, this book is called The Creative Art. This is also another book I got for our anniversary celebration. Basically, these two books were gifted to me by my girlfriend. It just arrived today, and I already read about 50 pages of it. Can you believe it? This is about creativity, bringing out the creative person in you, and basically nurturing the artist inside you. And that's incredibly important coming from this book, because first of all, Rick Rubin is probably one of the most common music producers in Hollywood for the last 20-30 years. Any band you name, any solo artist, from Taylor Swift, Adele, Slayer, Metallica, Muse, any genre, hip hop, LL Cool J, ZZ Top, all these artists, their music was produced not in the financial sense, not in the programming arrangement sense, not in the mixing sense, but produced as in just giving ideas that how would this song sound best. Okay, of course keeping the artist's main vision in mind, keeping in mind that vision in the first place. So he's not going to go and tell Metallica to make a song with a nice sitar as an intro, although Metallica does have one song with a sitar in the intro, which is hilarious. It's called Wherever I May Roam. That's an insane song. But all those artists were produced by Rick Rubin. So he has written this nice philosophical approach to creativity. But the most fun part about this book is that it's written as if it's a Hindu scriptural book. Okay, it continuously talks of things which we call Shiva and Shakti. Okay, or Bhairava and Bhairavi. It's written with that approach. This is a free Bengali Bible that I was handed out when I went to book fair. The Kolkata Book Fair in 2022, with the hope that I convert to Christianity someday, which is not happening. This is, of course, Arthashastra, 2,300-year-old book. There's a nice Ganesha statue over there. And this is a nice book I was gifted by a close friend. It's sort of a self-help book by the legendary retired Navy SEAL podcast host, business consultant, Jocko Willink. And here are some of my exercise equipments: a mudgar, a med ball, some dumbbells, which I do rarely because it's not that necessary, and my kettlebells, and something to kill some mosquitoes, which is most important in Bengal. Now these three were gifted to me by a viewer of my channel, donated, and this is one of the most important books I've ever read. And see how thin this is. You'll often hear me talking about Sitaram Goel said this, on this topic Sitaram Goel had this vision. All that is coming from just 2 books of Sitaram Goel. Can you believe it? This one book, it's so thin that you can't even read the name from this side. There's no name written because it was so thin. This is basically a section of his famous book called Hindu Temples and What Happened to Them. This particular collection of his chapters is called Islam vis-a-vis Hindu Temples. But more importantly, how I became a Hindu. See, some authors are very, very, very precise in their writing, like Roger Scruton and more importantly Sitaram Goel. And some authors like Vivek Ramaswamy, J. Sai Deepak, and even Sri Aurobindo, they write things in a repetitive manner, so that if you miss a line, you don't have to go back and read it 5 times. You may have to read it 5 times because it's such a tough concept to grasp or such a tough sentence construction. But with Sitaram Goel, if you miss one paragraph, if you lose focus for a paragraph, you'll completely miss out on that topic altogether. He's such a precise writer, and that's why I can talk hours and hours about Sitaram Goel, but all I know about him is from this one book. He's pretty much the best writer I've ever read. This is Beyond Illusion and Doubt. It's a collection of conversations between Srila Prabhupada and his disciple. And they discuss different Western intellectuals and thinkers, Plato, Aristotle, Marx, Nietzsche, etc. Where we had discussed that I had read. This was also gifted to me. That he says that capitalism is bad and basically... Anyway, capitalism is bad and we need religion to free people from oppression of industries. This is Brahma Purana Volume 2. Brahma Purana Volume 1 and 2 was also gifted to me by my girlfriend. This I received on one of my birthdays from a brother, Ambedkar's India. It's a collection of 3 of his speeches, including the famous Annihilation of Caste. This one I got in this year's birthday by a friend. I haven't read it or touched it yet, started it yet. Famous book, Khushwant Singh's Train to Pakistan. This is Sanjay Dixit's insane book. The most lucidly written book I have ever read in my life. This book delves into a very, very deep and dark topic, but it's so lucidly written that you can casually read it on your way to the gym, office, school, college, or a journey to Himachal Pradesh, everything. You can read this book anywhere in any sitting. It's so lucidly written and small chapters. That's the best part. This is a great book by Douglas Murray. I've read this book completely. I've read Unbreaking India more than once. This is by Douglas Murray. Fascinating book about group thinking, crowd madness. This book I have read about half. Dr. Chandni Sengupta's book on all the Hindu temples that were destroyed. Again, one of my more favored topics. True believer. Again, things that lead to mass movements. And this is written by Eric Hoffer, but written like a paper. It's also from the 50s. So it also criticizes or basically observes and analyzes Nazism and communism. Okay, this is not written as a judgment or as a criticism or as an appreciation. This is a fascinating work because it's written completely honestly from a neutral perspective, truly neutral. See, thoughts on the nature of mass movements. So this is basically observing and jotting down the points he has seen, that what all things lead to mass movements, because often they can be good, because you need a mass movement to overthrow even dictators. So he is basically observing how do mass movements happen and what are the basic fundamentals, etc. This is also something I was gifted. I think it was handed out to me when I was in the Kolkata book fair, right before I was given the free Bengali Bible. This is a Hanuman Chalisa in Bengali. This has nice artwork, and this is a fascinating book I bought from a CPIM bookstall in Durga Puja. Now this is written by someone called Govind Pansare. I think he was from the Communist Party of India. It's on Shivaji in a communist bookstall. So I was fascinated what is going on here. Then I understood this is about Govind Pansare talking about Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj and how great of a free thinker he was and how against casteism he was, etc. I haven't read it yet, and I thought I will make a video on this again, but then I thought, but only people you need to fear a little less, basically in rank 2, you need to fear in India after Pattharbaz are Marathi people, in terms of the numbers of FIRs you'll have in your name if you piss them off. And Kannadiga people are coming in close in third soon, very soon. They want to achieve that spot in basically taking offense. But anyway, so I thought, I don't know what all FIRs I'll have in my name, so I've decided against discussing this book, because this might have some things that they disagree with in terms of a communist discussing Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. And this is Bengali Rigved, Volume 1 and Volume 2, unabridged, from Akhoy Library. Now this I have read about 1 or 2 chapters. I will finish it very soon. This is again by Douglas Murray, and his frustrations with the war of liberals, communists, and basically Pakistani thinkers of the West. Okay, now he hates all those things. He's defending his idea of Western civilization, but from time to time he ends up directing his hatred against India and keeps complaining about, see, you are talking about natives and how native people were harmed by Western civilization, but see, they have casteism. So that's pretty fun. But so otherwise his criticisms and appreciations about Western culture and the threats on Western culture are great, because I like to learn about the threats to Western culture, because they are going through everything we have gone through years back. This is by Robert Kennedy Jr., who's also running for president this time, and his book on the insane things propagated by Dr. Fauci. I won't talk much about it because otherwise my video will get demonetized. This is also, of course, another book we are discussing on our live streams. It's the History of Bengalis, not Bengal, History of Bengalis by Nihar Ranjan Rai, the ancient era, Adi Parbo. Okay, so this is not. This is also the foreword for this book was written by Sir Jadunath Sarkar. Some nice Buddhist artwork here. Okay, now this book, of course, we have discussed completely in our live stream. This is the famous Arya Samaji Manusmriti, and this is a nice collection of 4-book series, a work of fiction. It's basically Celtic mythology, all the Druid stuff, which is inspired from kind of Hinduism in a way, because according to one school of thought, the Yamnaya tribe were basically the Druhu tribe from ancient India, who were exiled, kicked out, and over the years living in every spot for a few hundred years, creating these places called Danube, Donbass, and they too worshipped the river goddess Danu from our Rigveda. Then they went to the Celtic lands, Ireland, France, etc., and destroyed those places and basically did a genocide of all the men over there and forced the women to sleep with them. And that's how the modern Celtic culture or the modern Celtic race even was born. So this book is bringing in the Celtic mythology aspects and fusing it with a bit of Christian epistemology, because it's kind of inspired from the famous poem, what's that poem? I forgot, by Milton, Paradise Lost. Yeah, Paradise Lost meets Celtic mythology, so it's pretty incredible. Insane action. It's written by John Gwynne, arguably the best writer of action scenes at the moment in the world. And this is Brahma Puran Volume 1. And this is so much in line with, you'll notice that if you read anything about Celtic mythology, you'll understand that Druids were probably our Brahmins in a way. And of course, they reached the Celtic lands many years later, about almost 500-600 years after they were kicked out, right? Or maybe even 1,000 years later, because you can't just leave India and reach Europe in a day. But they have a book of spells, okay? So which is like a Veda. They do fire rituals and chant out things, and their language is kind of similar. They worship the Rigvedic goddess Danu, and there's a famous line I won't forget. It's called "I want to kill you," and in the Celtic language they are saying "Mi tua maru." Okay, that sounds pretty Indian. This is another book I haven't touched yet. I bought it from a CPIM bookstall. It's a Bengali book on the history of Ayurveda in Bengal. These three are, of course, the famous Amish trilogy. This is a diary which was gifted to me, but I haven't started writing in it because it looks so awesome. So I am thinking of something insane that I'll write in it, not any random thing. Nice Buddha artworks. This book I got for my birthday. I've read a little bit of it. The legendary book Why I Assassinated Mahatma Gandhi. This is a little book which was gifted to me, which is basically a collection of poems by a commie friend of mine, which I'll take out later on. He has written about the oppression and all the Hindutva fascism that's going on in the country. It's a book of poems on that and other topics as well. This is the famous Bhagavad Gita that almost everyone has in their homes. It's translated by Srila Prabhupada himself. This was also, all these were gifted to me. This was also gifted to me. This is a translation of quotes from Rig Veda by Srila Prabhupada. This is the Sanjeev Sanyal book called The Ocean of Churn, but translated in Bengali, which I gifted to my grandmother and then took it back from her after she finished reading it because I wanted to do videos on it. Someday I will. This is, of course, Sri Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, which I recently bought. This is a nice book I got as a gift actually written by Tim Kennedy. It's basically his biography, and ghost written by Nick Palmisiano, another officer. Tim Kennedy is a famous person in USA. He was in US Special Forces. He was in US Army Rangers. He was a sniper, and he was a famous UFC fighter. Now he is in the Army National Guard. So he is a man of many talents, and it's his life story. Okay. What's this book on? Okay, yeah. So Vivek Ramaswamy's book Capitalist Punishment. It's his third and most recent book written this year, which I recently finished. This is Sir Roger Scruton's A Political Philosophy, from where I share quotes all the time. This is another book that I haven't touched yet, which I bought from Kolkata Book Fair, Shrikant Talageri's Aryan Invasion Theory, Indian Nationalism. Another Bengali book I bought from the Communist Party bookstall. It's about Buddhism. And this is a nice book. I can't remember where I got it from. I think, from the Communist Party bookstall. This is a nice historical fiction story written by Rahul Sankrityayan. This is another book by Jocko Willink, that retired Navy SEAL guy. And this is a Bengali Upanishad released by Ramakrishna Mission of Bengal. I think that's it. Yeah, that's all the books I got. Thanks for viewing, guys. It became a long video. I didn't think it would be this long. Thanks, guys.